Hello everyone and welcome back to another edition of Hey, did you watch this trailer? Let me talk to you about this trailer. This is actually the first video that I'm recording for the year. That Inhumans one that went up the other day, that was recorded before my January break. So look, I'm a bit rusty. I'm alone. Mason's not here, which is a good thing, I think. What an absolute clown. But what we're going to be going through today is the Godzilla vs. Kong trailer. We're going to be talking about the size comparison, all the different creatures that are going to appear. There might be one particularly surprise addition, which might be a spoiler. I'll save that maybe towards the end. Who's potentially going to win the fight, especially now Kong has a new weapon, and a bunch of other bits and pieces, you know? But there are time codes for all the topics if you do want to jump to anything in particular. Leave a like if you could. It would really help me, and I was going to say you. It's not you, it's me. But, you know, if you could, great. Right, so just kind of to lay the groundwork for this series, this is the fourth entry in these new films. The three previous ones, on the whole, I liked. I think they're pretty good. Godzilla 2014, I know, like, he's not in it a ton, but for me, that movie totally worked. As always, you know, the human side isn't as strong as, you know, you'd maybe want it to be. Though stronger than the last one, to be fair. But, you know, I liked the inclusion of the new monsters. There's a bit at the end where he, like, breathes atomic fire and he, like, tears his head off. That's a good bit. Yeah, I liked it. I know it's not for everybody, because it is a bit Godzilla-light. But yeah, I'm into it. Kong Skull Island, which is a prequel. Really fun. Kind of terrifying. Loved all the different creatures on the island. Loved the cast, even though some of them, you know, don't have a lot to do later on in the movie and they're just kind of running about. But yeah, the world building in that in particular. I do actually have an old video on this channel where I go through all the different monsters that exist in the Godzilla Kong universe, if you do want to check it out, and a lot of it relates to what's on that island. But what I liked most about the movie is the depiction of Kong. You see a lot of humanity there. He's really menacing. Just a pretty good movie overall, if I'm honest. I think it's my favorite of all the ones so far. And then, of course, we got 2019's Godzilla King of Monsters. I don't know, man. It was all right, I guess. I was kind of disappointed. I was, you know, really looking forward to it. I know they upped, like, the fighting in it a lot. And there's kind of more human stuff where they're in boardrooms being like, what are we going to do about this Godzilla? But a lot of it just didn't land for me. You know, the fighting's fine, but most of it was like noise and light and whatever. And I feel like also it didn't kind of get the scale right in the way that the first Godzilla movie did, which makes sense because that's Gareth Edwards, of course. And he does scale really, really well. But yeah, I don't know. I know for a lot of people, like, it ticked all the boxes for a Godzilla movie, which I completely understand. There's a few things that I did like, of course. Ghidorah being like that alien from another world that's kind of wrecking the monster ecosystem of Earth. That I really enjoyed. But there was no really kind of big standout moment for me, which you kind of got in the other two movies. And also, it didn't do particularly well either at the box office, which kind of surprised me. But hey, here we are now with the latest Godzilla v Batman v Superman v Kong. It's directed by Adam Wingard, who people might know from Death Note, the version that people do not like. But do not be disheartened about that, because he also did other great movies, including The Guest, which I recommend if you haven't seen it. Definitely check out The Guest. I'm not going to say anything about it, but yeah, give it a look in. This movie, though, it's not a remake of the original film. It's an entirely new story. They got a story group together, kind of hashed out all the ideas and all the different abilities that they have and kind of what would be the most satisfying conclusion for the film. And one of the big mysteries of this movie is, what is going on with Godzilla? He's turning on humanity. Is it a global warming thing? Is it some kind of weird device like they had in the last one that controls monsters or whatever? What we do know is, though, from this map, he appears to be attacking Apex facilities around the globe. And some people are like, what's going on with this? We don't like this. We're shooting missiles at him. I don't know why they bother. What a waste of time. What I think he's doing, I think something man-made has upset the balance on Earth. Potential spoilers for this, so I'm going to save this till later. But yeah, I'm going to come back to that. But look, yeah, something's up. And how do you fight a big lizard? What do? You get a big gorilla. The gorilla is the natural enemy of the lizard. There was a bit of concern after Kong Skull Island, which of course is a prequel set in the 70s, that, you know, this version of Kong, he's nowhere near big enough to fight a Godzilla. We did a video on it, I think, and, you know, what potentially could happen between the two. Mostly just ends in Kong running and screaming and being on fire. But yeah, as they also hint at in that movie, he's not at his full adult size. And now he is. They're extremely comparable. Kong also has a link with a little girl, which adds more kind of humanity to the character, I guess. And look, I don't know a ton about the lore behind these movies or these creatures. You know, I know a little bit, but what I like about the difference between these two is there is humanity behind Kong. You know, you can read emotion in him. He's got empathy. He's not just a total psychopath, for the most part. But Godzilla, on the other hand, is like this complete force of nature. You know, he's like a tornado. He's apathetic to the whims of humans for the most part. So I think that's an interesting dynamic. Of course, there are different creatures in this movie. We get the Nozuki and the Warbat. They look kind of similar to those skull crawlers, of course, from Kong Skull Island, but I think these are entirely different. And we're getting a fight here in the Hollow Earth. That's a big thing in the Godzilla universe, apparently. Hollow Earth stuff, where there's like a subterranean chamber. Some people think it's real in real life. It's not, as far as I know. I mean, I've never... But, you know, maybe you drill far enough and there's monsters. There's not, but who cares about any of the other creatures? I know I don't, really. Because the trailer posits the question, who will fall? I think the first battle that goes on in the ocean, that's going to go to Godzilla. I mean, straight up. He's got the size, he's armored, he's got atomic breath, he can swim. Kong can probably swim as good as, I don't know, a gorilla can swim, which I'd imagine is not great. But the thing about Kong is, in comparison to Godzilla, he's essentially, and by essentially I mean not essentially, he's a gorilla. He doesn't have magic atomic breath or any other kind of weird shit going on. He's a gorilla. I mean, he's a bigger gorilla in a lot of ways, but he does have some things on Godzilla. For one, he's smart. I mean, he's a primate, so you know what I mean? He can problem solve, he can use weapons, which we've seen this one use before, and of course we do see him wielding a weapon in this trailer. Now initially upon watching this trailer, I'm like, where's he getting, what kind of magic axe? What's going on here? Where's he getting this from? But upon closer inspection, it appears as if this is one of Godzilla's dorsal plates. You know, the ones that light up when he's about to do atomic shit. It could be from one of Kong's ancestors who made this. Maybe Kong tears one of his out and, you know, makes it himself in this movie. It does look like we are going to get some flashbacks in this to like previous Kongs and stuff. But the thing about this weapon is it can block an atomic breath and it can also hold a charge, which means probably, you know, you hold it and then when you hit someone with it, it like explodes in an atomic explosion, which is sometimes good for Godzilla because he loves atomic explosions sometimes. I don't know, but maybe he doesn't like it as much when he's being hit with like an atomic explosion, but it's in an axe. But what they have said about the outcome of this fight is there's going to be a definitive winner. There's none of this like, oh, we both kind of gave it a go kind of situation. No, they're like, one of these guys is going to get absolutely clubbed. And I think it's going to be Kong who comes out on top. For a number of reasons, I feel like he's the underdog. He's also American, I guess. I mean, he's an American creation. He's not an American gorilla. He's not like Uncle Sam the gorilla. Maybe they could dress him up like that. That would be incredible. For America. But yeah, I think it's going to be Kong initially gets absolutely wiped. He comes back, he's like, I got an axe now. There's trouble afoot. Let me show you this axe. And then he wins. But of course, as these things go, and I appreciate all the tweets I've been getting about this is going to be one of the classic situations. The old, they punch for a bit, then they're mates. You've seen it in Batman v Superman. You've seen it in various Marvel movies, probably. So I think, yeah, there is going to be a bigger threat at the end. Whether that be, you know, there's a guy in a bunker with a box that makes monsters fight, or a volcano that's a racist alien. I don't know. But what I think it's going to be, and potential spoilers, and a bunch of people have spotted this, is a mecha Godzilla. I think some of humanity is thinking, look, we don't like this Godzilla. What if he goes rogue? I mean, even what if he doesn't go rogue? He's a fucking lunatic. But we need something to kind of set him straight. So I think that's why Godzilla's been going to various facilities, because he's sensing there's like this new apex kind of anomaly on Earth, and he wants to clear it out. We might even see a Mechagodzilla in the trailer at the very start. You see some kind of red lights. There's also an image of what looks like a kind of Mechagodzilla control system. Look, I might be wrong. This might be like a post-credits thing or a hint towards an upcoming movie, but I feel like this is the kind of movie where, yeah, you're gonna get like a greater threat. But we'll see, won't we? Guess what, everybody? Nick Mason has an amazing theory. He stopped by just to say his theory. We're putting this in the video. Go, what's your theory?
Okay, so for every existing continuity of Godzilla, there's always been at least two Godzillas, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not including just Mega Godzillas or like Godzilla Juniors or whatever. So the version in the 50s, one died, and then there's new Godzilla. In the 2016 Shin Godzilla reboot, which also continues in the Netflix Godzilla animes, there's at least two Godzillas. And in addition to that, the original Godzilla, which died in the movie, was rebuilt by crazy scientists into Cyber Godzilla, which was their version of Mecha Godzilla. So my theory is that this movie, there are going to be two Godzillas. A lot of people have pointed at Kong and Godzilla fighting on a battleship, and they're like, well, Godzilla seems a little smaller. Maybe it's because he's Mecha Godzilla, but I don't think it is. I think that's a Godzilla, but it's not the Godzilla from the original two movies. I think after the events of Godzilla, King of the Monsters, after Godzilla nearly died and then he was supercharged, I think the power overwhelmed him and he died. And then some probably crazy scientists scientists, maybe from Monarch, acquired his body and moved it away and rebuilt it as Mechagodzilla, and it's luring a new Godzilla, which is a young Godzilla, which is slightly smaller than the existing Godzilla. We're going to get a second act reveal where the Godzilla that we've been seeing throughout the movie is in fact not the original Godzilla, but a son of Godzilla. Then they're going to team up and they're going to fight original Godzilla, which has been like armor plated and turned into Mechagodzilla.
All right, thanks for stopping by, Nick Mason.
Okay, I gotta go. I gotta think about Godzilla more on my own time.
Yeah. And we're going to be seeing on March 26th. Because that's when this is coming out to HBO Max and, of course, theaters where possible. It's a shame, I think, a lot of people will have to stay home to watch this, which I also encourage you to do if you live in an area which is riddled with a horrible, deadly plague. Apparently, you can't say the actual word on YouTube because you get demonetized. But it rhymes with schmovid. In Australia, where I am, schmovid is very much under control. For now, these things flare up out of control, so I might be able to see this in theaters. But yeah, the interesting thing about coming to theaters is Legendary, who financed this film and they're distributing it through Warner Brothers. They didn't know, like most of the HBO Max releases this year, that this was going to happen until it was announced. They were actually shopping it around to other streaming services, including Netflix. So when they found out that this was just going to HBO Max, apparently, they were like, we paid for this. So what they ended up having to do, Warner Brothers are paying them, apparently, this is the story, $250 million, which is what Netflix were bidding for it. I think what's gone on here with HBO Max is it's one of those ask for forgiveness, not permission kind of things, you know, like, we'll just announce this, then we'll figure it all out later. But there are going to be consequences, you know, to these actions. I know we're getting a bunch of blockbusters at home this year, you know, which I think is great if you can't make it to theaters, and it's obviously safer. But even we're hearing things like Christopher Nolan might not work with Warner Brothers anymore because of what they've done. But yeah, regardless, March 26th. But if you're like, hey, I wish I had more content until March 26th, don't even worry about it. I got just the thing for you. For one, Caravan of Garbage is back. You know that, probably. I mentioned it earlier. It's every Tuesday. But I wanted to ask you guys in particular, what do you want for Caravan of Garbage leading up to Godzilla versus Batman v Superman? For those who don't know, that's a series where we look at like older stuff. It used to be crap stuff, but now it's honestly just like whatever's interesting, whatever we kind of want to talk about. So we did the 90s American version of Godzilla. There's a video on that already. Atrocious movie! But what do you want next? Do you want us to do the original Kong from 1933? Do you want the 1970s one? That's not very interesting. Do you want the Peter Jackson one? I kind of want to do that one. That being said, also, do you want the previous 3 Godzilla Kong movies from this franchise? What do you want? Leave it in the comments. I'll bloody take a look. And of course, our podcast is back, and Nick Mason will be back on that also. He's not a clown. I said that up top, but he's actually a very nice and fun man. It's called The Weekly Planet, where we talk movies and comics and TV shows. This latest episode, we go through all of the big releases of 2021, which will mostly inevitably be pushed back, no doubt. Nevertheless, check it out if you want. And of course, if you go to Big Sandwich, which is our own subscription service, we have movie commentaries and bonus podcasts. We have one called Time Capsule, where we pick a year in pop culture and go, what happened in this year? What's going on? We have a comic book club, where we look at a comic book and go, is this a good comic book? What's going on? We have a clickbait one, where we read clickbait and go, But yeah, it's linked below if you want to check it out. Thanks for watching. Hope you're having a good year. Hell yeah. Who's going to win? Godzilla v Kong. What do you want? What do you want? I made some predictions here. Don't know if they're right. Let's find out. Probably wrong. Off to nah. See you later.